going to have to make the final session of action if he's to make good in this world rankings, but has so much talent and potential that he may go into this as the favourite. I've not seen the bookies and how they've rated this, but it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm Dan Dawson, Paul Nicholson alongside me for the opening game of the night. It's Steve West and Jeffrey Zwaan.
100.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, Dan, that on current form, Jeffrey would probably be a marginal favourite, but when you look at what's happened in the last 7 days, Steve has shown promise, and he's come back to a venue this weekend, which he's qualified for, again, where he has had a big run before, just over 12 months ago. If he is going to get that last-ditch attempt to Göttingen done, he's probably going to have to do exactly the same as last June.
Yeah, well, he is good for a semi-final, is Steve West, in tournaments here and there. Very rarely goes on to make the final. Only happened once before in PDC darts. He's got the ability,
96.
undoubtedly, to win a title. I've just checked, actually. Zwaan does go off as the odds-on favourite in this game.
I think it's fair to say when Westy was
in
the semi-final last weekend, it wasn't really his fault that he lost.
No, it's not a great deal you could do against Ian White in that kind of form.
91.
Jeffrey's the kind of player who can produce that kind of form himself, and Jeffrey just looks
100.
mega relaxed as usual. When does he not? And first leg on a double after 12, pitches a guide, another guide,
no score,
and misses and gives Westy an outside shot.
On treble required. Oh, I thought he might stay there. Would have left double 15.
55.
But you can see the thinking. Less so with the last start, it has to be said.
Game shot on the first leg.
Didn't really matter.
Second leg, Steve.
The Black Cobra comes back and takes the first leg. But Steve's been in the practice room all afternoon, practicing with Robert Thornton, who's in the crowd supporting him this evening. And he was there with Richie Edhouse as well. He was on the last game tonight. They have been hammering the finishes all afternoon. And sometimes you just know that you've got to put in some hours and break off the cobwebs, break off the shackles. And Westy's done that. I think Jeffrey's just making some running repairs. Might have just broken a stem or something.
Oh, he isn't one to hang around unnecessarily, Jeffrey Zwaan.
Mind you, Dan, that new walk-on song of his, which he's
60.
been using for just over a year, that gets everybody in a bit of a chilled mood. I mean, look at Robert. Yeah, we'll go to darts and playing tonight. Well, let's go and watch a bit of JDC against Westy. Why not?
Well, they've only met once before, which surprised me, actually. I thought they might have run into each other
60.
on more occasions than that, and that was 3 years ago. That one was won by Steve West pretty convincingly. But Zwaan, he
96.
just has these days where you just think, well, he's going to be a superstar. He's going to be the top 4 in the world rankings. He's going to win big titles left, right and centre. And then you can go a month or two and you don't really mention him. He
60.
doesn't really do anything of note. And, of course, he's a young player, so consistency is always going to be that thing that he needs to build upon.
109.
But he's one of those players where if he does go and shove in one of those 106 averages, then he's quite capable of just doing the same all the way through a tournament, whether that tournament lasts the day or the weekend
43.
or the week, because we've seen him do that at the World Match Play.
Downstairs from 165, he's looking for that 133. Not going to get there, but trying to take the 5 off the end.
57.
He fails to get the treble, and gives the opportunity for Steve, if he can get 2 trebles, maybe even 3, to put himself in position. That is bare minimum of what he needed, but he still needs a mistake from Jeffrey.
Double 16.
Beautiful
stuff from Jeffrey Zwaan.
Did you notice on that second dart that it literally pushed the other dart out of the way? That is the skill that he has. He has the ability to throw it so hard that the blocker dart has no option but to get out of the way. Just such talent.
And he really does hammer those darts into the board.
Now, I've got a question for you, Dan, on Jeffrey Zwaan. He had a blockbuster year last year, of course. He was unfortunate to draw Rob Cross in the early part of the Worlds, of course. And he didn't play poorly. But the semi-final at the match play and a title win, of course, if you look at last year compared to this year so far, because we're deep into 2019, do you think he's progressed, plateaued, or regressed?
To be honest, I mean, the thing that will stand out is the match play run, because he was so good there and had by far the biggest run of his career. You know, semi-final at the second biggest ranking event in the world.
121.
But it's not as if he hasn't been doing that sort of stuff. We saw him when he won on the Pro Tour early this year. We saw him when he won his Development Tour title this year. That he's
96.
just managed to put a load of games together with massive 100-plus averages. The game is still there. It just happened that that game, you know, that period of form coincided with it being at the World Match Play last year.
70.
So I think there's always a bit of luck involved. You hit form at the right times, and yes, you know, it's your responsibility to hit form at the right times. Getting ready for things like the World Championship or whatever.
100.
But I just think it could come together for him at a big TV tournament. We'll see him at the World Grand Prix.
Lane was good from Westy on that first start.
105.
Again, he's going to have to rely on a mistake from Jeffrey. He's not playing poorly, Steve. Jeffrey just seems to be a dart ahead most of the time, and tops it is for JDZ. This time again, he can't use the guide. See a little bit of frustration there from Jeffrey, and Westy's got to capitalise here. Surely. Great guide. Dart wasn't comfortable in his hand.
Oh. 25.
I mean,
Jeffrey,
Steve West, a man who is
40.
a specialist at clipping wires and not hitting doubles. I mean, that is special even for him.
Double 10 for Jeffrey.
He's on the third leg.
Gets himself halfway in a flash. But you're right. Steve West is one of the best players in the world at getting those points nestled together. He can throw 180s on a pinhead.
Yeah, you've got two guys who hit 180s extraordinarily regularly. You know, these are the best
83.
of the best in the PDC, and Steve West and Jeffrey Zwaan are right up there in the ones who hit 180s more regularly than anybody. In fact, Jeffrey Zwaan's 11th on the list this year in the Pro Tour events. West is 14th, ahead of Adrian Lewis, for example.
That's impressive. That's a very
60.
Jeffrey Zwaan type of game. Heavy hitting. And, yeah, it's a 97-ish average. And that's purely because he's missed a couple of doubles. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's... I mean, and it's still... This is the thing. This is decent, but we know he can stick 10 points on that average with ease.
Both guys played twice in qualifying. Both had very similar routes, really. Steve West banged in a 109 average against James Richardson. That was in the first round. Then he took out Mark McGeaney with a 6-3 result with a 90 average. And Jeffrey similarly had a big average of 101.
59.
And then had a 98 against Martin Schindler after he beat Ron Muhlenkamp. So, you know, similar routes to get here. But right now, it looks to me
60.
like the cooler of the two on the hockey is Jeffrey Zwaan. And Steve's asking himself a lot of questions on how he can get back into this match.
Well, he's shaking his head and looking over to his mates in the crowd, and I think he's still beating himself up about that dart which didn't find double top when he'd had a perfect guide, somehow seemed to use it expertly, and it still jammed itself between the marker and the wire.
135.
And he is a guy who does beat himself up, Steve, to his detriment, and he'll admit that.
57.
Interesting thinking from Jeffrey there, from 187. Looking for the 171 to leave double 8. But Westy's got 2 shots at tops now. That's the safe one. How did he get 2 20s there right in the wire? Doesn't matter, as long as it gets in the segment. And this one would be an absolute killer.
Ball.
105.
That would have hurt. Steve's got to find tops this time.
If he doesn't hit it here, he loses this game.
Well, I tell you what, for a guy who questions his own mental strength,
To hit
Game
that
on.
dart after those two, which were no help at all, they were a hindrance to him. That's pretty impressive.
I don't think Steve West
43.
gives himself enough credit for how good a player he is and how mentally strong he can be.
Yeah, I completely agree.
100.
Full credit to Steve for acknowledging that he feels that his mental strength is a thing that's held him back for a long while. And he needs to do work on that. And you don't hear many dart players admit that.
137.
But he's done it. And I think, yes, sometimes you have seen him crumble. Notably at the World Match Play against Darrell Gurney, where he just threw away the win. I don't even know how he managed to do it. It was just mismatched dart after mismatched dart. But there are other times when he has shown real skill. You don't beat Van
96.
Gerwen and Taylor in TV tournaments without having something about you.
Yeah, that Van Gerwen victory you mentioned earlier wasn't that long ago. It was 11 months ago.
91.
Done a good job in this leg, Steve, of giving himself the opportunity to break, but he's going to have to find this big fish finish. Oh, what a beautiful 180. So well timed from Jeffrey. That changed the whole scheme of that 170 right there.
19.
I have to say, that's perhaps the only thing that really annoys me about Steve West's game, where sometimes he just gives up. Gives up in visits, gives up in legs. Just thinks, I can't win this from here. And maybe he's right, but Jeffrey could have missed a couple, and he could have been coming back for something a lot easier than 151 if he just applied himself.
Game on.
When we're talking about the European Championships, of course, Jeffrey is safe. He's on 17,000 at the moment, before the tournament started, of course.
60.
So technically he's on 18,000. Steve on 6 needs to make the semi-finals.
Yeah,
or better.
realistically. You can, I mean, if you make the semi-finals, then you are getting $6.5 grand. $5 grand for a quarter-final. 11 grand. The minute it's enough, but by the time we get to that stage, it probably won't be.
I don't think it will be either. And there's the small matter of Dave Chisnell.
Well, he smashes them into the board so hard that even when they clatter into the previous darts, they've still got enough power to stick in there.
I'd love to see that dart in slow motion to see how it behaves after it's hit the marker.
121.
It looked like it was going in exactly the same place. He smashed into them, deflected, you know, only a few millimetres, but it's taken a lot of power out and still sticks in there.
Now, where does Westy go on this 94? Because this could well be do or die.
101. Stevie requires
2 schools
94.
of thought, 54 or a bullseye shot. There's the 4. There's the tops, bullseye. Oh! Off the flight! Off the flight! What a beauty!
Absolutely magnificent from Steve West. All aboard the Steve West showboat. Have you ever seen a man go tops bull to win a leg and look so furious about it?
Well, forever that will be known as the way to get 94 by Steve West.
That is second. That is the second most
82.
ridiculous checkout I've seen in Gibraltar. Behind yours.
Yeah. It was so ridiculous I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah, it was involved 2 doubles and lots of nonsense.
58 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
499, something like that. That the way you went?
There was a 4 in there, double 9, and I was going for a 14, and then I had double 18. That's right.
Yeah, only way to go.
I was getting a bit tired by then.
Not used to those long days.
Bit mentally fried.
59.
Who's going to have the staying power in this one? That one has kept Steve West in this match. Make no mistake.
Look, if Steve West wins this game, you're going to have to
134.
go some, lads, this weekend to see a better shot than that. I mean, it's complete. It makes no sense. It's not the right shot to go for. And what's the issue here with Westy? He's looked furious for most of this game, and I don't know what's annoying him, apart from that one dart at double top he didn't hit.
I think on a couple of occasions in this match,
60.
the dart hasn't entered his fingers right. He's been adjusting quite a lot. And sometimes that happens when your hands swell, when the temperature's a little bit higher. I think he's just taking a few extra seconds to get them to sit in his hands right.
95.
Could be a moot point in this leg, though, because Jeffrey is doing very good scoring work. And in typical JDZ style, he is strolling around the stage with that care in the world and just doing his job.
180.
Well, that's an incredible 180 there from Steve West. And it gets him back in this leg. But for how much longer? Tops.
32.
If he can take out 300 in 6 darts, Steve West is in the ascendancy.
60 needed. Doesn't get it. And you can't
60.
envisage a scenario where Jeffrey misses this now. And he doesn't. Gets within one. And that's as much of a celebration as you will see from Jeffrey on a Friday at the Euro Tour. He's really good at conserving energy and good at using it when he needs it.
He's absolutely raging, Steve West. I'm struggling to comprehend why, other than what the score is here.
Yeah, shaking his head about something, and I'm mystified. I've got no clue.
Well, I thought he might be saying something to Jeffrey there, but
93.
you wouldn't know. I mean, Jeffrey Zwaan is not somebody who gives away anything anyway.
When you're playing against Jeffrey, and I don't have a great deal of experience of it because I've only played him once, and I got drugged. You don't know he's there. Doesn't say anything. You can't hear him breathing. Can't hear him muttering to himself. He gets on with it.
96.
He's a perfect player to play against.
Apart from the fact he keeps chucking 107 averages at you.
Apart from that.
140.
Well, Steve West has hit 180s in the last 3 legs here. He is on a bit of a charge, and this is a great scoring leg from him. We know he's capable of this. He was doing this all the time last weekend in his run to the semi-final.
81.
But he might have given himself too much to do here.
57.
Again, sticking him just outside the double. Not really an issue right now in this leg, but I think Steve West is
98.
he's capable of beating anybody, but he's also capable of beating himself at any point, playing anybody in the world.
18.
And I think he might be doing that here,
116.
because that might be the last visit he has in this tournament.
I think Steve West thinks this match is finished. He thinks that Jeffrey's going to hit this. Tried that get out of the way dart again. He gave it so much power.
98.
And Westy got to have a plan here. The plan is straightforward, double 3. Gets it. And he actually used that dart as a guide.
Yeah.
And clattered off the right-hand side of it.
Throw first. Game on.
Well, I am perplexed as to what is
100.
vexing Steve West so much.
It's a very nice word, vexing. It's not used enough these days.
100.
I think Steve might be using something similar at the end of this one.
Great order from the crowd. Had it all afternoon, even when the Gibraltarians were playing,
96.
who acquitted themselves very well. I was impressed with Justin Hewitt at times. He's raw, he's young, and he's going to come again. I've got every confidence in that.
100.
And we had the usual nonsense from Dyson Brody, which was ever so entertaining.
Yeah, he's already been told off by the refs once. We will have more opportunities for that to happen tomorrow. Oh, hello. 140 to leave 165, is it, Jeffrey? Are we sure that's the clever play? Particularly when Steve West can whack in. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. And again, that lazy dart because he thinks, oh, I've messed this up. Doesn't concentrate. Jeffrey's not even on a finish. Well, he's going to be on a double here.
133.
But he could have applied more pressure and made life harder for Jeffrey Zwaan, and Steve West chose not to do it.
18's now to leave the finish. He's left 170 just in case.
32.
You get the feeling it may not be enough.
It isn't enough. It's a 13-darter to win the game. Jeffrey Zwaan takes it 6-3 against a curiously annoyed Steve West. Not even sure if we're going to get a handshake here, but the Black Cobra is the man through to the second round and faces former finalist here in Gibraltar, Dave Chisnell. First round win, always going to be a tough one, but you managed to get the job done. Outscored Steve there, didn't you?
Yeah, you know, the scoring was really well, and Steve missed a couple of doubles, and yeah, I've hit it, so yeah, that's why I win.
We know that when you hit your top gear, you're a match for anybody in the world. You've won a title this year. Winning a Euro Tour has got to be right up there on your list of to-do things, hasn't it?
Of course, you know, it's the next target for my career, you know. Winning a Euro Tour will be brilliant, you know, of course.
Dave Chisnell next, former finalist here. One of the biggest 180 hitters in the world, maybe the biggest 180 hitter in the world. But if you both get going, it could be spectacular.
You know, if both of us gonna get an A game, you know, it will be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow and see what happens.
Certainly one to look forward to. Ladies and gentlemen, the Black Cobra, Jeffrey de Zwaan. He will take on Chizzy, Dave Chisnell, in the second round tomorrow.